Hi, welcome everyone. Feel free to leave any comments that you have in the chat box. And we'll give everyone a few minutes. And I'll introduce Louise and we can get started. I'll give everyone a few minutes. I'll give about 2 minutes for more people to trickle in. And if that, I'll get started with the group that we have. Thanks everyone for joining. As a reminder, this event is being recorded. Awesome. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Rachel. Hello, Lauren. Hello, Jacqueline. Hello, is it Meshes? Yeah, hello, Meshes. Hi, everyone. Okay, so I'm gonna get started. And as people come in, just say hi in the chat box. Welcome tonight to INA Town Hall. My name is Ruka Curate. I am a nanny agency owner in New York, and I am also a board member. I would love to take this time to just let everyone know that we are being recorded. And I'm going to, if you're on the phone, I'm just gonna say some brief rules so that you know and you're aware. Just so if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hands. We may mute most of you if you, we're hearing a lot of noise from your background. And that if we're going, because this group is kind of small right now, I'm gonna take a moment to let everyone introduce themselves. And then we're gonna introduce, of course, Louise, and she will get a chance to discuss some stuff with us. So I'm going to open up and I guess everyone can say hi.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Good to see you.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, all.
Good evening. Introduce yourselves. Tell me who you are. We can start with Metches. Where are you from?
Hi, everyone. My name is Meche Rosales Moping, and right now I live in New York City, but I'm originally from Guatemala City, and I have been nanny for 15 years.
Awesome.
I'm proud member of INA for a long time, too.
Thank you. We're so glad you're here. Anyone else? Kim? Jacqueline?
Next.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Hi, this is Jackie. Good to see everybody. Good to be here on the month of October. Town Hall. I'm in the DC area. I'm an agency owner and I'm just glad to be here.
Awesome.
Hi.
Who's next?
Okay. Hi, I'm Rachel. I've been on the board of directors for the INA for about this is my 4th year. And I'm a nanny in Houston, Texas. I've been doing this for almost 10 years now.
That's awesome.
All right, Joe.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
Hi, I'm Kim. Most of you probably know who I am already. I'm in Brooklyn, New York. I've been a nanny for 21 years. The INA current 2020 noti. So I'm happy to be here. See all the wonderful faces. Hi, Miss Louise. Hi, Ruka. You look awesome tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Missed you on the last Zoom.
I'm trying harder. I'll be here more.
It's okay. We know how that goes sometimes.
Thank you. Who else? Lauren? Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lauren. I was a nanny for 15 years and I now own an agency. I'm from the UK, but I'm based in Amsterdam in the Netherlands.
Awesome. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Hi, everybody. It's Marcia. I'm an executive director. I'm here just kind of in the background helping out Ruka as needed. If you have any questions or problems, you can send a chat to me and I'll help you with that. Just trying to get things organized behind the scenes.
What would we do without Marcia? Anyone else? The reason we're able to do this, and I'm so glad, is that we're such a small, intimate group, so I can get a chance to get to know everyone and everyone can introduce themselves. So I think, Lisa, you're the last one right now.
Good evening and good morning, everyone, depending upon where you are.
That's
My name
true.
is Lisa DeBoyne Murray. I'm the owner of Nannies from the Heart, which is based in Austin.
Oh,
Losing you, Lisa.
I think we lost you, Lisa. You became disconnected.
Area. Glad
Okay,
to be
there. We're glad to have you here too. So I'm glad everyone is able to be here. And of course, Louise is gonna get a chance to talk, but of course I want you to introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are. And then Marcia's gonna talk a little bit about events.
You want me to introduce myself?
Why not? I feel like you speak, you're so prominent in this, and we all know, well, I know enough about you. But I'd love you to introduce yourself to them.
Okay, my name's Louise. I've run an agency in Melbourne, Australia for 32 years. I sat on the INA board for 5 years and chaired the ethics committee, and I learned an awful lot about the number one reason we do the work we do is to keep children safe. Yes. And I think if agencies and nannies and parents remember that and work together, then everything else falls into place. Yes, if you're running an agency and you're working as a nanny, you need to have an income, a decent income, a legal income. But with the agency that just goes straight for the profit margin, they will, in my experience, run into trouble sooner or later. I couldn't run a business if I didn't do it with integrity. That's me in a nutshell, and I'll answer any other questions as we go. We're in stage 4 lockdown in Melbourne. You probably don't hear much of us in Melbourne. We've got a fairly left-wing governor who has gone for an eradication approach. It's been very, very hard. Our agency, we're down to 6 in the office from 24, and we're all working remotely. That's been okay for us, and we've been doing a lot of work with vulnerable families and a lot of work with child protection, because some parents shouldn't be locked up with their children, I think, and we've been sending incredible, loyal, brave nannies in to break that kind of bottleneck. Whether it's working or not, I don't know, but we're getting out soon.
I'm so glad you're able to provide that type of service for people. That's really, really important. COVID has really shown how hard it is to be with a domestic abuser or parents who are abusive to their children. So being able as an agency owner to step into that is powerful and beautiful. I thank you for that. I was going to say, Marcia, would you be able to tell us about INA's events upcoming?
Absolutely. So we had National International Nanny Recognition Week was just like a whirlwind of activity. So we had a lot of things. I really encourage you to check out our YouTube channel. We had a lot of webinars in the last few months, a lot of things there. Currently, I'm trying to get back to this. Currently, we've got a webinar coming up in November. Where is it? The 17th, I believe. Sorry, I had this all set up and then so November 17th, we're going to have a webinar on implicit bias. And so definitely check out information about that. That is our diversity series that we're working on. So there'll be more information as we get more information from the speaker on that. We also have a webinar that had to be postponed from October because the speaker, with COVID, just, a bunch of things happened with the university that is also part of our diversity series on black hair in early childhood education. So that is going to be scheduled probably in December, maybe January, depending on what they can do. And again, that was rescheduled because of COVID. But we've got next month's town hall. So we have moved from the once a quarter town halls to now we're going to be doing a town hall every month, which is really exciting. And I think it's been so great to get to know some different board members, get to know some different international members, get to talk about different things. I think it's been really awesome. So that in November is scheduled currently for Sunday, November 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, and that tentatively is scheduled. Helen is going to be talking with us. Helen McCarthy is going to be talking with us, although she's been having some issues with her home. So that might end up changing too, but so stay tuned for any changes that happen with that. But we're really excited to be able to bring this town hall to everybody every single month. So look for those two things, November 15th, Sunday for the next town hall. And then that following week, the 17th, Tuesday, we will be having that next diversity webinar. So that's it for now.
Thank you so much, Marsha. I appreciate that. So again, welcome everyone who just came in. I'm glad you guys were able to make it. Hi, Sue. Hi, Emily. Thank you guys for making it. Emily. Mara, welcome to the room. So my name is Ruka Curate. I am the owner of Tiny Treasures Nanny Agency in New York City. We are located in New York City, but we also help people nationwide. And basically our focus on our goal is to match families with developmentally focused childcare providers. Education is important to me. I have a heavy background in biochemistry and neuroscience. Research is important to me. So when I joined, my goal for joining INA was being able to research more and be the best person to represent my agency, especially as a woman of color, to learn more and also to be part of the diversity committee of INA, which I'm glad they started before I joined last year. I was part of the group that started before I got inducted this year, but just being part of INA and what we're doing right now is just really focusing on diversity. We are focusing on inclusion. We're focusing on having tough conversations within our organization and outside of our organization. And I've been working with some amazing women. Sue, of course, is someone who has been probably the only person I can describe has been very dedicated and moving and spearheading this with also with Krista. So I'm really fortunate to be around these individuals that are just like women who are really trying to make INA like the best that it can be. One of the things I will say is just that I think that these meetings that we're having on a monthly basis is great. I feel like it gives us as members an opportunity to talk to different board members, to be introduced to members of our organization and really ask questions and have these discussions and be intentional. So I look forward to the conversation that we're having today. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. Marsha or I am happy to answer any of them. And of course, please feel free to email or contact us if you want to become a member of any of the committees that we have. We have so many wonderful committees that you can be a part of. And there's so much support for nannies and agency owners. So please know that you can email us and any one of us if you have any questions or concerns. We want people to know that INA is a place for you to feel connected and to feel supported, especially now with everything that's going on with COVID, BLM, parents not work, nannies being let go, and all the things that are going on. So please know that you can reach out to us. Now I would love to reintroduce Louise, and she's gonna give you more about what's going on from, INA outside of the US. We are international.
So, g'day again. Hello, particularly to Emily and my good friend Sue. I was going to talk about you later on anyway. So what's happening in the nanny world in Melbourne that could be of interest to the rest of you across the world? The first thing, as I said, is we are in stage 4 lockdown, and the Premier specifically, it's like your governor, the Premier specifically said that only vulnerable families could be helped by nannies, and he used the word babysitters. I sent a message to the Premier saying we were happy to help vulnerable families, and would he please not insult us by calling us babysitters, and that the INA had a definition of professional childcare workers, which didn't include the word babysitters. I didn't get anything back from him, but he's never said it again, which is terrific. Do you want to ask me questions? I thought we were going to talk about innovations, etc. Or do you just want, I can't hear you, Ruka.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to ask you questions. This was just a time for, I wanted you to have the opportunity and the floor to talk about what you wanted before we got into innovation.
I did want to say something else before I answer questions. Having been on the INA board for many years and having been the first international person on the INA board, I am delighted to see the way the board is going. The conversation, the true and honest conversation about diversity, about Black Lives Matter, about globally how we're going to work together, because this whole conversation, right at the bottom of Australia, we probably have more in common with what nannies do in Missouri, New York, Switzerland, Amsterdam, than we don't have in common. We're all doing the same job. I think each country, each state perhaps in America is at different degrees of sophistication about how well it treats the nannies in employing them and paying them their dues. I was absolutely thrilled, Nanny Kim, I'm looking for you there, when I read what your Deputy Prime Minister had to say about you winning the International Nanny of the Years. Even now I tear up. We are so far apart in our country from having the Deputy Prime Minister even acknowledging nannying as a job. You should be very proud of yourself from where you come from, and I'd vote for him tomorrow, I could tell you.
Yeah, which is great, because this leads now to the question, what is the biggest innovations our industries has undergone in the last several years?
Well, I think that in the last several years, so the 10 years I have been involved with INA, I think, and Kathy Webb and I have had long conversations about this, we may not have won the battle yet to have all clients recognise that all nannies should have a contract, should work guaranteed hours, should get sick leave, should get holiday leave, should get treated with respect. But I believe that there is an awareness now, and some people are still choosing to do the wrong thing, including nannies, and I get that. Yeah. Some nannies are saying, yeah, I'd rather get paid in cash. Yeah. It happens here too. It's about 65%. I do think there's an awareness, and I think that it has been formed by the INA, by ACNA, by Nanny Palooza, by the great work Sue has done in Nanny Palooza, by us all getting out and talking. I don't know what's the first step. Is I'd like your opinion, Sue, or anybody else. Is the first step as a nanny to stand up for yourself? Some of you are probably on the Nanny Council group, and I'm not going to mention names, but there was somebody there yesterday who has taken on a 38-hour job, and she's working from 6 a.m. in the morning till midnight. She's doing all the cooking, all the cleaning. It isn't on paper, the job looked good. And I'm tearing my hair out, thinking, why is this still happening? And
It's
so and behold,
happening.
it turns out to be happening in a country town in Australia.
Exactly.
And I said, call me, at least I can put her in the right
Exactly.
direction. So what have we innovated? Awareness. Talking about us, the proudest moment of our life was when we got Sue Downey to Sydney and Melbourne to run Nanny Palooza Oz. And the fact, you know, we're a little bit shy in Australia. We tend to think believe it or not me, but everybody else is a bit shy. And the nannies were just gobsmacked that it actually happened. And they came along, and here was Sue just running it like it was a normal Nanny Palooza. It was a really big moment. They're still talking about it.
That's awesome.
So,
but I think that's what's really important, and I'm glad you bring that up, and talking about like innovation with advocacy, like advocating as the nanny and also advocating as, you know, as the agency owners, right? We have to do it together. It can't just be one side. So I love, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Like towards the end, I'm gonna open this up so that you guys can ask each other. You guys can ask your questions. Mara, I got you. I see you. I can't wait to hear your question. But I want to make sure we cover some of these questions so we can have a lot to talk about. What kind of innovations do you see in our industry in the near future? Where do you think we're going?
Is it an open-ended question or for me?
It's for you.
Where are we going? So the first one is advocacy and understanding that all of us, as you said, need to advocate, from the nanny that's just started in her first job. And I think that that's an innovation. The Facebook groups that on the whole provide positive energy to people. Sometimes they jump a bit hard on people. Why'd you take a job without a contract? Answer being, I didn't know any better. I didn't know anybody. I needed a job. I needed money. But where else are we going? In Australia, and I'm not saying we're better than, we are very, very close to getting a precedent or a ruling from the Australian Taxation Office. Now, anyone who knows me, such as Sue, will be saying, you've been saying that for years, Louise. They have kept us waiting 2 years. I am involved with, and I always forget the name of this task force I'm on, the Black Market Cash Economy Task Force. I suggested to them quite a while ago they could clean up the nanny industry because we're only a little industry, and then they can tackle the real cash evaders, hospitality and the building industry. And that is what they've done, but they've seem to have hit a few hurdles along the way with the nanny industry, and the 7 politicians that have illegal au pairs.
Well, and Louise, I'm going to interrupt you because that's what I'm
Good.
doing. But but I think that you talk about something really important. I think even before advocacy comes connection,
Yes.
and that has taken us a while to sort of figure out, and we're still figuring it out because we're still working with connection between the diversity piece of it, the different communities within the big nanny bubble. But I think that the more that we connect with each other, the more we learn about the way that things should be. And then that's where the real innovation comes from, because we learn from each other. So like if things in the industry change, it comes from the connections that we make when we belong to a group like INA, or when we go to conferences, you know, wherever they are, and all of that. And, you know, it takes people like you who are committed to making those connections and to providing opportunities for nannies to have those connections, that's where it is. And I see Lauren Holgate on, and I just want to say hi, because it's not Amsterdam. Is it Amsterdam? No.
It is Amsterdam.
It is. And she just did an NTD event and was part of that community. And so she reached out, and like agency owners like that and nannies like that take a chance and pull together the community. That's where the action is for me. Like, I think that's really amazing.
And I love to see new people pop up from new countries. I feel like I've spent a lot of time in America now with APNA and with INA, and I love America. And I know you have, I'm not going to get political.
We're not going to get political.
Australia and America are both democracies. You can all vote how you want. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
We are a process. We are all in a process.
Right,
Yes.
the process.
But
Yes.
I would love to hear how nannies are treated in Holland, in Amsterdam, running an English agency. Are you mainly bringing English staff over to Holland? I'd love to connect with you and talk more.
I'm listening to you talk earlier, because obviously it's quite early in the morning here. I was like, I'm so pleased I've stayed up, because everything that you said I could relate to. I've got nannies from all over the world. The Netherlands is very popular, especially Amsterdam, with expats. So I do have some Dutch nannies, but in Netherlands they have a system for nannies. If the nanny is registered as what they call a huishouden, then the families can get some money back from the government. But the nannies that are registered with my agency don't have the very specific Dutch qualifications or speak fluent Dutch. So the market I deal with is clients who have got the international and who want a nanny that speaks English, but maybe also speaks Italian and Spanish and German, and that has got other types of qualification, and they don't need to be in the Dutch system.
So closed out of the Dutch system.
Pardon?
They're closed out of the Dutch system.
They're closed out of the Dutch, but still all legal. They've got contracts and everything. We just work in a slightly different way. Everything is separate. I was a nanny for 15 years and always used agencies in London, and I lived in New York for a bit. So I've kind of based what I want to do on the best things that I've seen in my career. But our situation is very similar to the situation worldwide. We have a lot of issues with, like, I had a phone call about 8 hours ago from a nanny who didn't realise that her boss is a lawyer and told her she wasn't entitled to a contract. She didn't need to pay tax, and she was paying her under minimum wage. And I put her straight, and afterwards I was like, gosh, Lauren, you probably ruined the girl's evening. But she was really grateful to me. She's like, I've just moved here from Canada. I had no idea. The system's complicated here for being a nanny. And if you don't take the time to learn it, or people are doing as they try and do worldwide and pay cash in hand because it's not a respected job, then they end up in some awful, awful situations. And I'm desperate to change that. And that's part of the reason why I did the International Nanny Training Day here, because there's a desperate need for nannies to have training. And there's not an understanding here that it is important, that you can't just say, and I'm sure this happens worldwide, you know, I looked after my brother and sister, so it makes me a good nanny. There's so much more to it, but there is not the understanding, partly because babysitters are very common here, really common. The Dutch don't tend to need childcare. They tend to have grandparents, and daycare is really good here. So they only tend to use a babysitting agency. So they don't necessarily need someone who's really highly experienced. But then you've got the expats who are working the long hours, who do need someone who is highly experienced, who can help the children with their development and do all the household duties. The industry desperately needs a bit of a shake up here, so it's become my mission.
Awesome.
Good on you. We're right behind you.
That's good.
One thing I should say that is slightly innovative slightly, I think we came up with this concept by ourselves, but knowing Australia, we probably borrowed it from New Zealand. And for 20 years, we've run an in-home childcare scheme, and I've been very involved with that. And the difference between that and a nanny job is that you have to be employed by the agency. So the agency becomes a labour hire firm. You have to follow national in-home care standards, and they set up a Senate committee to write those standards in 2007, and all of you would look at these and think they are very, very basic, and they are, but it is a framework as to what a nanny's job is, and always based around the fact that the priority is the children. It doesn't go far enough with employment, etc. But the other thing, just as you said, Lauren, you need to have an Australian qualification, and to arrive from Canada or Holland or even New Zealand and America and have that qualification that you've got turned into an Australian qualification, we've always made that very difficult in our country. So in-home child carers, it works for the parents, they get a healthy rebate. But for the nanny, they must have an Australian qualification. And I'm not sure if that was the intent, to keep out other people, because we have free working visas with the United Kingdom, with Italy, with France, with Canada, not with America. And of course, nobody's coming in at the moment anyway. The other thing that will happen in Australia, and from what I've read will happen in America, is the au pair market has completely flattened in Australia. The au pairs all went home. So we got ridiculous phone calls. Like 2 doctors rang me and said, got nothing against doctors. 2 doctors rang me and said, we need somebody for 8 hours a week. We wanted to live in because that will be safer, because we're both essential workers. And because we only need her for 8 hours, I don't know what they needed her for, some after school activity, we'll give her room and board, but she's not allowed to go anywhere at the weekends either. I said, so basically you want somebody to live in for nothing and work 8 hours a week and not be allowed to go anywhere. I said, I can't help you with that. That's and she was really surprised that I said, you've got to pay for every hour that they work, every hour that they're available. You've got to let them out of the house.
I know, as we're speaking about innovation, I can say a lot of parents have been very innovative. they've been very creative about how they want their nannies to be. Like, oh no, she can't go home. What do you mean she can't go home? Oh no, 2 hours a day. No, it does not work like that. And we are the ones that are going to be creative and creatively say no.
And I don't know if this is innovation. It's something Daniel Butcher and I in LA have spoken about. And it was the wording he used that terrified me. But I'll state it because I think we need to have this conversation. He says there are going to be an army of the desperate post-pandemic who will look at everybody's job and think, I can do that. And I've had a couple of kids. I've done a bit of babysitting when I was 12 years old. I've read the babysitters' books. And they'll be after our jobs. And if it's completely money driven, there'll be people accepting what? $6, $8 an hour, anything at all. People prepared to live in and work 60, 70 hours a week. Our only defence is to be the best we can be, to get out and advocate, to polish up our resumes. This is a slightly unkind story, but I'm not naming names. One of my best nannies, we do a quarterly coffee chat, and she is fantastic. She's got all the experience. She's raised her own children. She's really well qualified. She's a midwife as well. She couldn't do Zoom interviews. I spent the entire Zoom looking deep into her ear. Now, we're going to run Zoom interview preparation because at the moment, some really fantastic 21-year-old interviewer is going to look a lot better on the screen than she is, and that's really unfair. But innovation, is this what's coming for us, an army of the desperate? How are we going to prepare?
No, agreed. But the only way we can prepare is having conversations like this where we can sit there and say, like, you know what, there's a group of nannies that are not good with Zoom. They're not good with looking at social media to look for jobs or looking online. They want to come into the office and meet the agency owners. What we have to do is we have to be brave. Like, I know with us, our team like is out there like once a week, and we will do 6-feet interviews with an iPad, and like take in their information because they're great nannies with all this experience that are no longer being shown to amazing clients, and that's not fair. So it's just us always advocating and always being creative and always innovating. What do you guys think? You guys can unmute yourselves if you have anything to say.
Yeah, they have lots of things to say about all this that is meant to be, that you are discussing right now. I was very interested in this discussion about innovation. And as Louise said, this doesn't seem so new about talking about having an agreement. And things like, I want to put my head in, when I saw a post for a job in, I think, a very well-known agent in New York, basically. And she was looking for a nanny, live in 7 days a week, to cook, to clean up after the kids, and everything else, and help with the family, whatever they need, 7 days a week. How an agent can post something like that? So talking about advocacy, I think this could be a strong topic for our organization to advocate for this, to be recognized with the families and with the agents, because sometimes the family, as you are mentioned, they will be very creative in their favor, but not in ours.
The
And
7 days a week one, Mara, you pull the rug out from under her and say, sure, that you'll need 2 nannies.
Exactly.
But how an agency?
But that's not an
A
agency
job
that's
like
for you. And that's what you have to recognize. And Louise is right. You're going to have, the problem is that you're going to have individuals who are going to see that job and they're desperate. And even if they don't have the experience that we would want the best candidates to have, if the client is desperate too, they'll make it work. And that's what we're afraid of. That's really the problem.
And yes, that's a big problem. And that's because there will be exploitation. That will be exploitation. Or when they put beautifully that the family, you treat you as a member of their own. That's another thing that I give me chills.
That's a red flag.
That's always a red flag.
Oh my goodness. Oh, they love you if you were like them. My goodness, not. And talking about, I don't know if au pairs or babysitters that we see, I am so surprised after so many training at the INA conference, the agents that we go, that they are so criterious, so strict, like you have to wear flats and your khaki pants and very discreet, no perfume, no jewelry. Then we arrive with our charge for a play date, and the babysitter there is wearing a short that barely cover her butt. And oh my gosh, how you can compete with that?
You can compete.
Mara, I don't want to cause trouble in America. I've caused enough trouble over there probably. But I would ask you to advocate and call that agency and say to that agency, I see this 7-day-a-week job. I'm assuming that's for 2 nannies.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or
that's it.
if it honestly the job may be illegal. So I mean, talk to them. And I'm one to tell a nanny, if you see some, I'm from New York. If you see something, say something. If you see a job that looks like it's less than minimum wage, report it. It's illegal. Do the same thing you will want someone to do.
Yes.
Just if it's wrong, it's wrong. Our job is to make it right.
I do recognise it's a delicate
Yeah,
dance. If that's an agency that you're looking for jobs with, you don't want to make yourself their most unpopular nanny on the books, but there is a way of doing it that isn't. Let's give that client the benefit of their doubt and say that she needs 7 days coverage, and this is what it could look like: 4 days, 3 days, 5 days, weekend nanny.
Yeah. Or if it's a rotational, go Rachel, sorry.
No, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, we can play dumb and give you this question back.
I think one of the ways that nannies are going to have to innovate and sort of re-innovate both now and within the next couple of years is we're going to have to understand what our market needs and somehow prepare ourselves to meet that need. I'm not sure what it's like in Australia, but I know in the United States, a very good portion of our children, of our students, are learning from home, learning on the computer. There are some school districts that are back, but a lot of them are back and forth. And so for me, I see the need right now currently, and probably for the next year or two, is to be able to in some way help with that. Whether you have tutoring experience or not, it's going to be good for that something about education to be on your resume. Obviously, you can't get a 4-year degree in this kind of time, or even teach yourself how to teach. Maybe you can't do that, but you can do small things like you can have a favorite workbook series that you can bring an example of to an interview. You can know what classes are open and what classes are being socially distant in your market or where you're interviewing. So that children
raised from 5 to 12. I totally agree. That's absolutely true, Rachel.
Right. I mean, I think that, anyone that's going to have a little bit of an advantage right now is going to be someone who can help with this school at home stuff, and not only helping with the facilitating of the school, but helping guide and teach the children afterwards. And like I said, even if you're not degreed, even if you don't have experience teaching or tutoring, you can do small things to prepare yourself to meet that need. Plenty of children are not going to preschool right now because it's optional and it's risky. So, preparing yourself to do preschool at home and, coming into an interview with a plan for setting up an in-home classroom, which may not be your style or something that you have done before, but it's going to be something that parents who would have sent their children to traditional preschool are going to be looking for. Even after something like a vaccine comes out, I think we're going to be looking at this for at least another school year. Even if children go back to school, they're going to be needing more help at home because they've missed so much. It's going to be playing catch up.
I completely agree. But it's just being creative and innovating yourself as a nanny.
And that's piggybacking on what Rachel just said. That's a lot you hear from New York nannies. And Ruka, I'm sure you probably hear it too as an agency, that we have to adapt. We're in a different time. We have to adjust. But there's a lot of pushback from a lot of nannies saying, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up for a nanny. And if you want me to do this, you have to pay me extra. I mean,
I get that. I totally get that, because now you're doing something that's outside of your ballpark. But I believe what you won't do, someone else will.
That's it.
You always have to think about that.
And I mean, in a sense, I could understand, just like you said, with that's not what you're doing, you need extra money for it. But you can't just say you need extra money for it when some of these nannies, they're not equipped. Some of them hasn't even been exposed in front of a computer. They don't know how to operate one. And I mean, like myself, I know I got a lot of pushback because I pride myself as a teaching nanny. Ever since like my previous employers would tell you I bring in stuff and work with the kids with math or their reading. And I got a lot of heat from nannies back in the day, like, why are you doing that? You know, they're not paying you for do that. I'm like, they're paying me to educate their child every minute he or she is with me. So that's part of it. But like I have a few nannies that I'm currently mentoring now. They don't know how to use Word. And a lot of agencies are asking you to transfer your resume into Word to submit it to them. And some of them don't even know how to do that.
We need to be
Yeah.
teaching them. And
Yeah.
I think that Kathy and I also spoke about another push, which we're seeing more in Australia. Most of our schools are open in Australia, but they've only just got back. What we're also seeing is a lot of really disenchanted long daycare centre directors and school teachers and even social workers who are saying, I don't like my job anymore. I would rather be a nanny where I am looking after up to 5 children face to face. I got into my job because I wanted to work with children. And we've always seen child protection workers who get burnt out and who just come to do nanny work because they love it. But one of the advantages that a regular nanny has got over somebody coming from a long daycare centre is the job, as we know, the job isn't quite as easy as it looks, is it? So having those nanny skills, the traditional nanny skills, and adding to it, as Rachel said, really puts you in a prime position. Because if you're just coming into nannying as an ex-teacher or an ex-administrative long daycare, what do you call long daycare? Creches or? Yeah. Coming into that anyway, you don't have the practical experience.
Yeah.
Interesting times.
It is, but you just have to acclimate, you have to change, you have to adjust, we have to evolve. And if you're not able to do that, it's going to be hard for you as a nanny to continue because we don't know what the future is going to be. We don't know if this is going to get worse or if it's going to be, if the vaccine's coming out next year or the year after. We just don't know. So it's just important for you to like push on and keep trying. But do the
One
right
change
thing.
I've seen in Australia, and I'd be interested in all of your opinions. You know, the classic nanny that says at the end of the interview, if you run an agency, oh, and by the way, I won't work where the parents work from home.
I think it's so funny. I think
That's
it's
not
so funny
happening
now.
anymore. That's just not happening anymore.
That's
not
over.
Yeah.
It's not likely to ever go back to the way it was.
Exactly.
Talking about when it goes back, it's never going back to the way it was. Like, it's never going to be the same. So like really life changed for everyone this spring. And now we just have to figure out what the new landscape is. And it means everyone's going to have to be flexible, which once again goes to the point of, you know, all of these things I hear everybody talking about, it all boils down to me to connection. So if you belong to a group like Emily's group, the Nanny Collective Online, you know, you hear things from other people, so then you can advocate or you can mentor.
Yeah.
If you go to conferences, you learn about what's legal and what's not. If you're connecting with great agencies and you built a connection there, then you know what skills parents are looking for and everything. It really, to me, innovation in our industry more than any other, I think, comes from those connections. And that's, you know, that's what we as INA have to work to do better at, connecting all of the parts of the nanny industry, like all the different groups and cliques and ethnicities and skin colors and agencies versus nannies and everybody. We have to, like, that's a big passion of mine, because I think that once we're connected into a strong community, then real changes can happen.
And all those countries out there.
Yeah, exactly. And the international part of it, because isn't it interesting? So we have a couple different countries represented here tonight, but the problems are the same. The terminology is different, but the problems that we face as nannies and as agencies in this industry, they're the exact same thing. That's the one thing that doing Nanny Palooza in Australia and then in London taught me, was that every nanny wants the same information. Like, it's all the same stuff. So it's just connecting.
Well, it's so true, because it's the same industry all over, and it's always, nannying is typically on the bottom rung, but everybody has to have it, and that was one thing I was thinking about, though, that at the end of this pandemic, yes, some people are going to come in and they're going to get jobs that other nannies didn't want, but I will play devil's advocate and say that they won't last. I feel like they're not going to have.
I wanted someone to say that's never going to happen.
I work in advocacy a lot, but I don't see that these people that are just jumping on this bandwagon while it's here, they're not going to stay. They're not going to be on, like, literally I was on another call and they're talking about robots taking over our jobs. And I'm like, I don't see that happening either. It's just
that's not going to happen. Right.
But it's very thick. Like, they've got videos, everything on. I'm like, I don't see that that's ever going to be a problem for a nanny.
No,
like,
because if that was the case, we would have just had nannies doing Zoom babysitting long hours. They can't
exactly. And this is where I feel lucky.
Yeah.
This is where I feel lucky during the pandemic, is that I've always worked for stay-at-home parents. That's been my specialty that I've enjoyed. And so now I'm looking at these people and I'm like, you're griping about what? Yeah. And I'm like, that's usually the funnest part. You know what I mean? You get to share those milestones and moments, and they get to have them with you. You have a lot of bonding with the family as well. So thank you also, Louise, for coming on. It's so nice to see you again.
It's all right. Look, by the way, I must tell you that it's no great sacrifice to me. It's 11 o'clock in the day here. This is when I would normally be working. And what, it's getting on to 9 p.m. for some of you. What's the latest?
Yes, I'm in New York these days. So, yeah, it's almost 9 for me.
Yes,
but
you wouldn't want to be interviewing me at 9, I can tell you.
Quite sober.
No, I'd be sober, but I wouldn't be awake.
Well,
No,
Rachel has seen me not in a good state, so she knows what I mean.
This has been an adjustment for me, because I'm one who's never really worked with stay-at-home parents. Like, the parents would work from home occasionally. I'm used to that. But this is my first time. It's also my first time working with 2 agencies here in New York. I mean, like, when I heard about Ruka being nominated for the board, and I'm like, who the hell is Ruka?
So cute.
Julia LaForce was like, she has an agency, and the first thing she's like, she's black, so I'm like, I am now hearing about her because of the INA and not before. So I mean,
Kim, you should have asked me. I met Ruka through Krista at a bar, coincidentally.
And this was my year working with 2 agencies, and I mean, the experience was really, really lovely. I mean,
awesome.
I didn't know that it was that extensive for the application, especially Adventure Nannies. Oh my God. But
oh no,
was lovely. Adventure Nannies and Nannies by Noah, and my experience was awesome. So, like, I hear some nannies would complain and saying agency don't advocate for you. And in our Noti group, Marsha is having Notis work on something, and one of my thing was, you're your own HR department. Nobody cannot advocate for you like you, whether to parents or agencies. Don't just take anything an agency present in front of you because you figure, well, okay, they're the agency, they're gonna have your best interests at heart. Look over everything and advocate for yourself. And
absolutely,
I had to make a hard decision, like, because I've never had stay-at-home parents, and so it's always me and the baby, everything stays neat once I tidy everything up. And at a 3-month review, I had to bring it up, and I'm like, in a very respectful way, I said,
you guys are messy.
This is now my home away from home, and I need to feel comfortable. I said, I know this is an adjustment for both of us because you're not used to having people in your home as well, and we all are adjusting, but it's unfair for me. I mean, this is not really my responsibility, but I do it, especially if the baby's sleeping, you know, like these are things that I would do. Parents don't have to ask me to do it. If I do something, I say to them, say thank you. It's not like I'm doing it for anything extra. This is just who I am. Just simply say thank you. But when I feel like you're looking to take advantage, then no, I have to speak out. And he kind of understand. It wasn't really the wife, it was him. And he said that he's sorry and he made the adjustment, you know. But I noticed from since we went away and come back, it kind of went back. So I'm just like throwing it behind the window, and I'm like, that's just
No, don't throw it behind the window. Adjust it again at your next meeting.
Well, we have another meeting coming up, so it's like everything, and it's hard because like all my parents, I give them Sue Nanny Diaries book. Once I start working with them, I give them the Nanny Diaries. But he's like everything through email. I'm a nanny. I don't on my phone during the day. So it's hard for me to like constantly be looking at emails to communicate with you, you know? And I had to explain that to them. And I'm like, quickly send me a text message. I may quicker look at my phone for a text message because both my boys are doing remote learning from home, and I ask them to check in with me from time to time. I monitor them through a camera, and I also have the neighbor that's checking in on them. So send me a text message. If I'm not looking at it right away, at some point in time, I will look at my phone for a text message and I can respond. But things get lost in email. Like the only time I check email is at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Wow. And sometimes I see he sends stuff in an email that get lost, but I can't fault him for that. That's how he works. So this is like an adjustment now that I start making throughout the course of the day of checking emails to see if he had sent any messages through the emails. And it's hard, especially when I'm working with a baby, to do that.
The initial question is, what's your communication style?
Exactly.
It seems like emails are now kind of old-fashioned. I use emails.
Well, I mean, I'm more like I said, a text, because it's easier for me to do that. I mean, I can't fault him for that because he's a lawyer.
I mean, I think he can adjust. I think it's ridiculous for you. I'm as someone who was a nanny, don't send me an email unless it has to do with like, this is the schedule for the week. But if I'm in the next room, don't send me an email.
Yeah, and that's what I said.
That's ridiculous.
I said it's
that's just ridiculous.
Like an adjustment, but Ruka, we're definitely having, because I just
have the conversation.
Yes, we have to talk. I'm happy to advocate and give you advice. That's what I do very well.
I just have made 6 months, so
but maybe this is a new innovation. It's a new way to be, because the parents, they are all the time in their phones, and instead to scream to the house, they just take the phone and say, hey, can you bring me a glass of water, or the baby's crying, or can you come and change the diaper?
Yeah, but not through an email.
Yeah, but it's also, again, you're your HR department. You set your policy and procedure, and you say, you know what, this is not how I want to communicate. You guys, it was so lovely, because I don't want to cut us off. And if, you know, Louise has a few words or anyone has a few words, we have about 2 more minutes. Again,
I have to go soon because I've got somebody walking my dog.
Oh, that's cute.
I agree with everything you've all said. We have to remain vigilant. We have to remain connected. We have to advocate for ourselves. Agencies must advocate for the nannies, and nannies need to push back if they're offered a 7-day-a-week job, and just kind of assume the best of the agency. Oh, that's interesting. That's for 2 people.
Yeah.
Just put them on the back foot, I'd say. I don't know who the agency is, probably a friend
I
of
think
mine.
that's great. I'm pretty sure it's not a friend of yours. I think that's great advice because I'm pretty sure that job isn't legal. I thank everyone for coming.
I'm sorry, I was 2 minutes late, but I just want to tell you guys on here, I booked a friend of Ruka's to do our next diversity webinar. And it's going to be, mark your calendars, November 17th at 8:30 p.m.
And we can join in.
She's going to talk about implicit bias. So I'm putting together the last things for this, and I'll get it to Marsha. She'll get it out to you real soon. But since you guys all came, I wanted to tell you, I'm sorry that I didn't have my ducks in a row at the beginning. So thanks.
Marsha, I did announce it.
We did share that. Yeah, we did talk about that. I didn't have the details like you did, Sue, but we did share those. That
I'm sorry, my fault, but thank you.
No, this is great. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming out. Reminder, everyone, that this is being recorded and it will be on YouTube within 48 hours. Share it on YouTube, share it with your friends, ask more questions, let us know. Let us know what to talk about in our next town hall. I look forward to meeting you guys and talking to you guys some more. Again, if you have any questions, email memberservices@nanny.org. Have a great day, ladies.
CEO at placementsolutions.com.au. If anybody wants to old-fashioned email me, there's no point
Old-fashioned
to
email.
Australia, it won't go through.